I'm gonna show you something that is probably gonna get you laughed at if you try it. People are gonna look at you kind of weird, and it's gonna go against everything you might have learned. And it's taking the same bass performance and duplicating it 4 times and using 4 different tones to create one nice bass tone. So without further ado, let me show you my craziness and how it actually works and how it sounds sick when you do it the right way. Yes, I know what you're thinking. David, you're freaking insane. Why are you using the same bass DI 4 times to create 4 different tones and blend them together? You're gonna get phase issues. No, you're not gonna get phase issues. Phase will always play a part whenever you're blending sources like that together. But just because phase is happening, for lack of a better way of describing that, it doesn't mean that the phase relationship between the sources that you have is a bad one. Phase is just something that you have to be aware of, and your ear tells you whether that phase relationship between sounds is a good thing or it's not sounding very good. I'm gonna explain my methodology before I show you what I actually do. 4 bass tracks, right? First 2, one is going to be the actual just DI, and what I like to do with the DI alone is I'm gonna compress the living heck out of this. Not limit it, compress it. I like to particularly run it out through my stay level compressor over here. Basically crush it. I'll run it through that, and then I'll just run it through, you know, some of the other outboard. Maybe I'll run it through my Obsidian or the Fusion. So I want this DI track to be super compressed to where the envelope and the attack of the actual bass DI is articulate. It's very pristine, but it's also very even at the same time. And I don't run this through an amp, I just want the DI. DI is right up the middle. Also still mono, so this is bass track number 2, and this is where I filter out everything except for, you know, the subs and maybe the upper lows. Now this one I'm gonna limit to living heck. Limit this until it's just pinned. I want that pinned. So you have your DI, which gives you the definition of the actual organic bass performance. Tucked underneath that you have your sub track, and then those other 2 bass tracks I was telling you about, this is where it gets interesting. You take that same DI and you make one distinct tone and you pan it probably like 20% to the left, and you take the other one, you pan that 20%-ish to the right, give or take. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 25. Just kind of depends. And the key here is to dial in a bass tone that is similar yet distinct and different on each one of the sides. You want them to have different cabinets. This is how you get rid of bad phase relationship when you're doing it. So if you do this right, you have the sonic integrity of the performance from the DI and the articulation of that. You have control of your subs, and then you have your width, a tiny bit of width, and this is where your clank is. This is the distorted bass that you would be using. This is the bass tone, if you will. So you have definition, sub, tone. That's the way I like to think about it, and I found out about this on accident, and I just tried it just because, like, you know what, this would be kind of funny and ridiculous to try, and it works every single time I've done it, and now it's just a mainstay. People will ask me about my bass, like, how'd you get that bass to be so big and so wide? And part of it is because, well, you're actually panning some of it. So you still have the mono sub. That's like so important. You still have your mono sub. You still have the mono take and performance of the DI, but then you're just moving the actual bass tone that you dialed in to the sides a little bit. And part of the end of this is just summing that all to a, you know, bass bus, which is a stereo bus because now you're panning it, and you use compression to kind of tie everything together to make it move. And that's the thing that you would end up sidechaining, like your kick to and, you know, other things if you're trying to, you know, move things out of the way. That becomes your actual bass tone at that point. So with all of that long introduction and excusing my madness, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I did that in this particular song and pretty much why it sounds sick. So, the bass. So I have a tone that's printed here that I'm just gonna start fading up. Oh, this is the bass tone alone. So I'm about to put you onto something. You're gonna think this is nuts, because it kind of is. Attempted to take this out and put the bass through my stay level compressor over here, but it's a Verimute tube compressor, and it has 7 tubes and 3 transformers in it, so it's got a lot of mojo. Now I can go ahead and do my I/O. There we go. Just gonna crush it. And I'm gonna go ahead and print that. Look at that, that's obliterated. All right, so now we have the regular DI, we have a absolutely crushed DI from the stay level. I don't know if you saw the dB of compression on that thing. That was crazy. And then we have the base sub. So we're gonna create the sub from the crushed DI because that sub now is gonna have all that harmonic content from the tubes and the transformers and the analog goodness. So I'm gonna do the sub first. And then we're gonna do L1, the El Juan from Cornet Audio. And to make sure I'm not absolutely obliterating this out of the gate, I'll go ahead and do Pro L here. Look at that. So we have the DI that we just did, super compressed, and we have this sub. And I'm actually gonna compress this DI even more. All right, gate reduction. So I'm gonna take that, mix that with the sub. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, oh man, this is gonna be nuts, man. I have that one tone. One of these tricks that I do is I'll have, I actually use 4 bass tones. So I have that DI that we just crushed, we have the sub, and then we have that one tone that we had that's gonna be panned a little bit to the left, and we're gonna make a similar tone that still sounds different, but we're gonna pan that to the right. All from the same DI. Now this is breaking so many rules that so many people will say you shouldn't be doing, you can't be doing, but I could care less. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep it easy. I'm gonna use parallax. Then we listen to that versus. Yeah, those are different and close enough at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pan them to about 17, I think. 17 should be good. Actually, I'm gonna pan them some more. Listen to that, no phase problems at all. Don't listen to those people. They're liars. And now I'm gonna blend in those, the sub and the DI up the middle. So the DI acts as our articulation for the center. And the sub now. That's 4 basses. And what I do to tie it together. Fast attack, pretty fast release. I'm going to EQ the right side of the bass a little bit.
at least in this room, like I can feel like the subs like hitting me like in my actual chest. It's like an actual visceral reaction. Oh, bro, yes, let's go. That's crazy. And now I'm going to do some side chaining to that kick. I don't need it to go that crazy.
Hopefully after hearing, you know, all of that, it makes sense to you why it's like, that actually works. Like, I hope it's actually evident that it works and that you're able to hear, you know, the difference between how it might have been if you just had like one tone, or maybe if you just split, you know, the top end and the bottom end and that was it. But as opposed to having a definition track, a subtrack, and then your actual tone being the width and the sauce, how that can end up being something that basically makes your mix more interesting to listen to. And one thing I didn't mention is it actually helps your stereo hard pan left and right guitars sit better, because now it's not trying to tie a hard pan left and right to just some random mono source. Now you have a little bit of something in the middle for those hard pan guitars to be able to tie to. So it's like hard pan guitars, the top end of the bass tone that you created, and then the actual performance from the DI and the subs there. It's, when you think about it like a layered cake and then that's sitting on top of your kick drum, you just win. So try this out. Let me know if it works for you. If the tone that you're dialing in doesn't sound good, just try changing the cab. Like literally just changing the cab will almost mitigate any phase issue that you're having using this technique. Like literally just change the cab. You'll probably be fine once you do that. And if you have any phase issues even after that, well, auto align exists. If you really want to make sure that things are phase locked and phase coherent, you can always use auto align, and you will get good results out of this if you try it. So this is some secret sauce right here. Make sure you use it wisely. And if this video helped you, comment down below, let me know. And thanks for watching as always. Peace.